Okay, even though I love wearing my braids down like this, I'm not going to. I guess I'm just gonna kind of rebrush. I need my water though to kind of like, because when you have like wavy hair, just kind of like dampen it a bit, you know? Think. So I've been reading about Istanbul, which was Byzantium, becomes Constantinople, and then Istanbul. It's very intriguing, although the book I'm reading about it kind of weird because it's just kind of unbiased up until you get to Constantine, and I mean I don't know, I could be wrong, but it almost seems like the writer is like a little bit of smitten with Constantine, but he like killed his own family. I don't think he's like more righteous. I mean, I'll have to keep reading and see, but it's almost kind of weird because I'm like, okay, so when you had the pagan leaders of Byzantium, the Greeks and the Romans, oh, like they're kind of not good guys. And look, they didn't do good things either. Like they would sacrifice people, kill people that didn't follow their religion, their pantheon of gods. But I don't think Constantine was necessarily a good guy either. I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's so interesting. But yeah, I'm so fascinated because people they forget they think, oh, Istanbul is just in Turkey. Well, hey, it was a Greek city, okay? Part of the Greek and Roman Empire, um, you know, part of Byzantium. Then it became part of the Ottoman Empire. But that wasn't until later. That wasn't until the 1400s, okay? So for a big chunk of its history, it had many. It's a it's a crossroads of civilization, and the thing that people don't realize is people interacted a lot more than they thought they thought. Okay, they would perpetuate this myth just because in Europe, like people that lived in villages wouldn't really leave their village. They said, well, people didn't really travel around or intermingle during the ancient world. And I'm like, yes, they did. They did a lot. So you should start reading about it. What about the Phoenicians? They sailed. But I was talking with Aya about this. And the reason they don't talk about the Phoenicians, as she said, was well, they 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 stood for liberty more than other civilizations, and also they were defeated because well, it's just sad that there isn't much out there about the Phoenicians, or what is out there is not really discussed so much. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so and then they keep okay. This is the funny thing. They keep talking about the purple, and this is the thing that kind of made me mad about the book was they keep talking about people wearing purple dyed cloth in Roman times in Byzantium, which becomes Constantinople, which becomes Istanbul. But there's just one problem with that: the Phoenicians are the ones who popularized the whole idea of wearing that purple cloth, because they're the ones that traded in that ink. That there's a process that they use, but they were the ones that created that purple dye, okay? Like, it's like, are you forgetting something? Or you just maybe don't know about it? I think people just don't know about that aspect of the Phoenicians. Anyhow, it's an interesting book. And I'm just like, I feel so fascinated by Turkey, though. I'm like, it'd be kind of fun to visit Turkey, really. Maybe someday. I don't know. I never have money, though, to go anywhere or do anything, because, first I have to work, pay the rent. So I don't think traveling is much something on my horizon. Okay, so I have something to say about. Oh, thank you so much, Masad. Appreciate that. Okay, so I have a comment to make about people who, like, look, I sometimes am not the most outgoing person in the world, but I want to tell you something. Like, if you feel like you have social anxiety, or like you feel like, oh, some people socialize better than you, or people make you feel like, oh, like something you say might be socially awkward, I want you to surmount those feelings, okay? Today and now, even if you're not like what you say and do might not be with the in crowd, like, or whatever. Who makes up these rules? Okay, I get it. But a lot of those people, now that there's a pandemic on, not that you should be gathering anyway, but a lot of those people, they're not like in contact with each other anymore. Have you noticed? Like all the social dynamic, it kind of disintegrated the minute that people realized, oh my gosh, like we need to social distance. I mean, are they the kind of people that stay in touch with each other? So I'm not saying to be a social butterfly, but if you feel like nervous about going outside of the house and talking to people, put your device down, okay? It's called screen free time. Look people in the eye, say thank you. I know like we have to wear a mask so we can't really smile, but when we can smile again, smile at people, like interact with people. Don't be so like, okay, you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, like the way I interact is not good enough. Like, look, there's only one lifetime and we only live so long, and I don't think these other people, like anybody you think that might be like socializing better than you, are they really? It's kind of a fallacy, really, because I think the more you just try to be polite and kind, and I'm not talking about like having long-winded conversations with people. I'm just saying hi. You can just be cordial. Say hi, how you doing, and keep it like polite, simple, and light. But I keep reading a lot that people like. Okay, this was one thing. Thank you. I appreciate that. That I read was a lot of people during the pandemic were like happy they didn't have to socialize with people as much. And I'm thinking maybe we need to get past that way of thinking. And look, I'm no party animal. Don't get me wrong, but I think we just need to practice what people used to do every day, like just saying hi, how you doing. It doesn't have to be involved. You don't have to stop and like chat up the cashier at the checkout. Anyway, that's kind of annoying. Anyway, those people who do that, you could just be like, hey, how you doing, and be polite. And like, even if you don't live in a small town, there are places you frequent and you can start like just being thoughtful and Like I know some people like they're afraid to do this, but I decided at a young age, I'm not afraid to do this. Like if somebody's wearing something nice, like not in a creepy kind of way, but just a nice kind of way, you could be like, "Oh, I like your outfit," or you can like genuinely like you don't have to if I mean, if you don't feel that way, nobody's forcing you to. But let's say you see somebody wearing something that you really like, or they just mentioned something that you thought was funny, like you can make a nice comment, like just look, who is it that has some monopoly on social skills? Because I feel like the pandemic has kind of shed a light on some of the fallacy of this because it's pretty fragile. And I think in order to be anti fragile, we just have to continue to realize that we have every right to be out in public. You know, some people, I think some people feel, oh, thank you. Like they can never talk to anybody. Like I hear this a lot. And I feel like it's because of the internet and the phone, and people are afraid to, like, I don't know, just, have a conversation with people without their phone. Like, put the phone down. Like, the only time I'm really online is when I'm checking my social media for my channel or something. Like, when I'm out and about, I'm not constantly holding my phone and like looking at my phone to see what's happening next. Put your phone away and start interacting like the way that we used to have to, you know? Hi, how you doing? But there's a whole generation of people, they grew up with the smartphone, so they've never had anything different. They don't remember like a time when there was no smartphone. So I feel like that's kind of another problem too. But you just have to practice. And look, I'm never gonna like I'm very nice and polite. I'm never gonna be a social party animal, but I don't want to be either. And I think you just come to accept, I would rather be polite and considerate and just interested in the world. Like I feel like another reason you should put your phone down is there's so much going on outside around you in the moment. It's just so much more interesting, and you're gonna miss out on so many moments. Like you can always look at your phone later. You don't need to constantly be looking at your phone. Besides, if I want to do something on with my social media, sometimes I'd rather get home and wait until I can do it on the computer where it has a nice big screen and you can focus properly. Like not like, are people trying to do school projects on their little phones? I'm just like, that would give me such a headache. I couldn't do it. I just could not. So my hair is softer and it's more manageable than it's ever been in my entire life. You know the secret? An edited video about this one. I actually went a little bit longer without like thoroughly washing my hair than I ever have before. Like I just did a rinse and I just like when I'm in the shower, I get my root sweat. And this is like the best experience I've been having with my hair. And I think though, I don't know, I feel like this can only apply to certain hair types. I don't think somebody like my mom could do this. Because I know some people have like oilier, more oily scalps. I think, yeah, no, some people could not do this, but I know I can because my hair is thicker, it's a little bit more coarse, like so I always would have to put like oil in my hair to kind of combat, like after I washed it, keep it hydrated. But now that I've gone like such a long time without thoroughly washing my hair, I haven't had to add any oil back in because now it's getting to the point that there's just so much sebum that I'm able, even when I rinse my hair, it doesn't get completely out. I'm able to just like comb it down, and it's really working a miracle for my hair. Thank you. So yeah, it's and I was watching a YouTuber who talked about this. It was a woman. She said that she just rinses her hair now. I don't know if I would go all out to doing that. Like I have just done co-washes before where I don't wash my hair with shampoo for several months and I just wash it with conditioner. Like when I do fully wash it, I just do conditioner. But I think next time I want to do maybe a henna mask. Just things keep happening, so I got too busy to do it. Because the henna mask is really involved. The henna mask A henna mask is not like just some little project that you can just do quickly. It's messy, so I haven't gotten around to it. But I am thinking about doing a henna mask. I'm wondering, do I really need to have it so tight if I'm putting it in a bun anyway? If it's in a bun, it doesn't need to be quite as tight because I'm going to be braiding it anyway, right? I think we need a little bit of like water to kind of smooth down my hair a bit. Okay. Oh, I ordered some U-pins. So, okay. So, this channel is mostly about hair, but I actually share some of my fashion interests with you guys too. Yeah, I've been able to do this better view because, like, I'm alone right now. And I'm like, you know what? It's better. Like, the relative who was living, they're moving out, I think. I think that looks so good. That's another thing too. When you live with a relative, I don't know. For me, I think I would rather just live alone again. Like, I tried for the longest time, but we would just always have like debates about things. Like, okay, they really hate social media. Like, they don't like me having YouTube, and they didn't like that I did YouTube. So there are always like more videos that I kind of wanted to film, just different ideas and stuff. But I never really did it because I would always like if I did a hair video or a cooking video, I always could only do it like in certain parts of the house or at a time that wouldn't bother them. I'd be like, I don't know. I always felt like I had to. It just it was kind of getting to the point that yeah, that's why I only do certain kinds of videos. I know some people are like, why don't you do a video like this, and this? So I just I've decided at this point I don't think we should live together anymore. And it was also just getting kind of annoying too because my neighbors don't make that much noise. They make a very minimal amount of noise. They play music occasionally, but I play music too, and I'm sure they can hear it when I play music. But she would just always be like, "They're playing so much music, and it's keeping me up." And I'm like, I don't. So recently, I think we agreed, and I just agree. I feel like this is the way it needs to be. I don't want to live with her anymore. I think, I tried for the longest time, but it's just like we don't really see eye to eye on things. And yeah, so I think I just decided you know, it's time. I pay the rent, okay? It's time for you to move out. I've been paying your rent and I can't. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go deeply into all of it, but I'm just saying if you are not in a relationship with somebody and it's just a relative. Like I always thought it was really cool, multi-generational families living together. I love that idea. I really do. I think that would be really amazing, or just relatives living together. Like in thought, it would be really cool. Like if you always got along and you always had ideas, like but it just got to the point that this person never respected anything I wanted to do. Like they always did what they wanted to do, and look, it's my relative. I love them and everything, but I just like sometimes I would just want to make a certain kind of video, but I just never really felt comfortable because other people that do YouTube, like their family members get in on it or their friends get on it. However, when it came to me doing YouTube, pretty much nobody in my family or my immediate friends was super supportive of it. Like they thought it was interesting, but I'll tell you in the very beginning, they were very anti me even having like a hair channel. Like my mom was so offended by the fact that I was doing YouTube. She told me I should just delete it and that I would be better off just spending all my time just cooking and that it was a waste of my time. And I'm like, but this is a fun hobby for me and I really like it. But like, yeah, nobody but then when I started to see that my channel grew a little bit, they were a little bit more supportive. But in general, like, yeah, none of my family. But see, I always do like very tasteful things. Like, I don't do anything like silly, you know? Like, I'm just very moderate in what I do. So I don't know why they were so offended. Like, I'm like, they don't really understand like what people do on YouTube, but they are kind of the people like, some people they love their electronic devices. They're kind of on the other end of the spectrum. Like, they'll watch a show on TV or on their device, but they don't really want much to do with like the internet or social media. Like, they're just kind of like, I don't see the point. Like, they just don't want anything to do with it. So, like, for somebody to have a YouTube channel to them, they're like, that's weird. Like even some of my friends, like I thought it'd be cool to have like friends that would be into it. Like people would always ask me, "Oh, don't any of your friends want to come on your channel with you and do hair stuff?" And I'm like, "No," because the people I know tend to be very, very reclusive. Okay, they're very reclusive people. They like to keep to themselves. They would never want to be on YouTube. So yeah, I don't know any. I've never met anybody that actually wanted to be on my channel. Like I don't have that experience. Like I guess other people like for them like but it's not, a lot of people don't. And honestly, like certain people probably share too much. Like if I had kids, I don't think I'd have my kids on my YouTube videos. Like not that there's anything wrong with it. It seems innocuous and cute, right? But I don't know. It's kind of weird because later on, what if your kid's like 18 and then like their classmates find out like, oh, like you were doing a family vlog and like they put on a silly hat. I don't know. I just see it as a opportunity that some kids they might not like it later in life. Like even though it would be fun for you and for people who like, people with kids to watch it, like other moms or something or dads, the kids later on they might not like having that footage of themselves. So I just feel like, yeah, I don't want to be hardcore about kids on social media, but I don't think people under 18 really should be on it. Like posting a lot about themselves, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're under 18, you haven't really formed strong opinions always of what's right and wrong. Like some kids do. Some kids have channels that are just about a topic or content. But if you look at TikTok or anything that the young people are doing, they're posting a lot of things that are just, oh man, like look, kids are wild when they're young, right? But would you want that documented for perpetuate to perpetuate like on and on? Like I don't know, because it's not going to really go away, and it's just kind of problematic. I feel like young people, unless their content's like really like, if a family can agree that their content's just really innocent or innocuous and nothing real crazy, then yeah, be on YouTube or TikTok. But I feel like in general, people under 18, they're not really in a place yet where they can make those good decisions for themselves. Plus, they're not legal adults. So it's kind of problematic. I don't like, so when they were talking about all that stuff, like for the advertising, I kind of thought, well, maybe they should just not accept YouTube accounts for people under 18. Not to get down on that, but just it might solve some of the problems that they're always talking about. Because honestly, yeah, YouTube isn't really for younger people. It's just not okay. And that's how they've set up the guidelines, because they say you can't collect advertising data on people under 13. So YouTube is not for under 18. Not that my channel is anything bad, but that's just YouTube and the laws around the world really online due to data collection. And yeah, I don't. And another thing too, young people really don't need to spending all their time on the internet. Like, look, I'm done with school. I got my master's degree. I work and I make money, and I just do this for fun as a hobby. But if I was a kid going to school, that would be super distracting. Like, I feel like how would you focus on your studies if you have this like social media thing you're doing? I don't think it's a good idea if you're trying to go to school or if you're under 18. And I'm not trying to get down on younger people being online. There's nothing wrong with younger people being online. I just think wait until you're 18, okay? There's so many things you should be doing when you're young. Anyway, just go outside, have fun. And I still go outside and have fun. I'm not like not enjoying my life. I'm just saying, like, if you're a kid, you don't really need a YouTube channel. Like, unless it's really clean content and your family kind of knows about it. Because I mean, I've seen some YouTube channels like with people that were young or TikTok, and it's questionable. And I'm like, do their parents know that they're posting that? And it's like, yeah, it might, like, I don't know. Some things like, look, like I said, kids were wild back in the day, but it wasn't on record, okay? A lot of suburban conservative stay-at-home mothers, they were party girls, okay? That's why I always kind of laugh when people are like, I have conservative values. I'm like, yes, I remember, like, in the late 90s and early 2000s, things you were doing as a kid, so you might be this conservative person now, but it wasn't always that way, was it? Because people change, okay? They do, they do, they do. People change, and I don't know, like, would people want certain things that they did? And then just some of the, like, I don't know. And I'm not a prude. This is not getting into being a prude again. It's just some of the dancing and some of the outfits that, okay, you see, like, a clearly person that's clearly under 18 dancing, okay, in a certain way that they might not think it's bad, but I'm going to tell you something. Grown men aren't thinking like you, and some of the comments that they're making on these young girls' TikToks, okay? Like, these girls are under 18. You can clearly tell. It's pretty obvious. And there was this one TikTok account, like, he was clearly a man in his 50s, and I would see him, like, I don't know, these things would just pop up on my feed, and he would be commenting on these young girls' accounts, and I don't think that they were over 18. I was like, yeah, that's kind of uncomfortable. Like, he might not have been doing anything illegal, but it just was a little uncomfortable, and I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not a prude. I don't really care. Like, if somebody's over 18 and they want to be a porn star, I don't care. Do I care? Not really. You have the right to do that. It's a free world. Have you? But I don't. That's personally not something I would recommend for my life personally. But whatever people want to do with their lives, I'm not going to stop them. But I feel like young people, just young people, maybe it would be better to like delay being on social media while you're in school. Like focus on getting your education. Just finish school first. Like you don't need unless you're. I mean, some people have YouTubes or TikToks that are educational. Like there are things that could be beneficial, but I'm just talking about more run-of-the-mill content that you see, like just some of the more questionable things. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Like just maybe think about some of that stuff, or if you're thinking about doing it before you do it, maybe talk to your parents. Say, I don't know, if you're under 18, I would be like, I would ask my parents, like, do you think this is a good idea for me to be putting myself out there like that? And I don't think most parents would be okay with that. I mean, I I would find it questionable if they were. That's not. I guess every family kind of has to do things their own way, but yeah, I think people under 18 don't really need to have a social media account unless it's something educational or just like, I don't know, like cooking or maybe hair or makeup. Like if it's just really like not too extreme, but there's other things like some of that dancing on TikTok, like some of the dances and the outfits. I'm just like, you're clearly under 18. I don't feel comfortable that you're dancing like that on TikTok. And yeah, and it pops up on my feed, and that's another reason I like TikTok to share like my hair content. But some of the things it recommends to us are just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't want to. So I just say, if you're a kid, be a kid for a while. Like you don't need to do YouTube yet. I mean, you can, but just be more selective about how you do it. You know. And this is not me trying to rain on people's parades. It's just me questioning like what's prudent and not. That's all. Anyhow, there's all sorts of things going on in the world. It seems like things are opening up a bit more. There's some weird conspiracy about how the vaccine sheds onto people, which is purely ridiculous. Like, look, I don't know. When it comes to the vaccine, I don't know. I always got all my vaccines. I was kind of on the fence about this one, like, but I went ahead and did it. But now, as time goes by, like, if 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 it helps to stop the spread of COVID, I'm going to be okay with it. If I just, I, and I'm, so I went ahead and did it. And yeah, I mean, sometimes there's concerns when a new vaccine is developed, but I'm hoping, for the best. But some of the conspiracy theories about look, I'm not into mandatory vaccination. I don't think people should have to get a vaccination. I'm sorry. I don't believe anybody should be forced to do that, because some people, they just don't. And if those of us who want to get a vaccine get it, then we're okay. Like that's what our vaccination is supposed to be. We shouldn't expect everybody to do exactly what we're doing. I know they're saying like right now, like everybody has to do it. Like we all must, but some people aren't going to, and you're never going to reach them, and you're never going to make them believe it's okay. In fact, like that's kind of authoritarian in a way. Like you can't just demand everybody get a vaccine. You just can't do it. It's problematic. I don't believe in like forcing people or cajoling them or shaming them or like just some of the things, because I know some people, they're not going to get the vaccine, and they're good people. They're not bad people. They're educated people, but they're choosing not to get the vaccine. And I actually respect them because they know why they don't want to get it, and it doesn't make them bad people. In fact, they are the ones that have been the most serious about taking the pandemic the most serious. So what is up with these people that are like going around telling people, oh my God, did you get the vaccine yet? It's one thing if you want to share it, but don't ask someone if they got it, and don't like demand to know why they didn't get it. It's just kind of bullying in a way. Like, look, if if this vaccine helps to stop the spread of COVID, I'm like, okay, good. It seems like from what I've read in the trials, it seems like, yeah, it seems to be doing a good job. There are some concerns with blood clotting in some of the vaccines. I mean, also another thing I read today was that some women, when they go in to get a mammogram, it's kind of skewing like the read to where they have to come in and have them do a second mammogram because they're not sure how it's reading. Like it almost looks like it's cancer, but it's really something about the vaccine and how it's reading. There is an article online about it. I can't give you a scientific explanation, but I mean, there are reasons that some people might be concerned about getting the vaccine, and that's their personal reasons. We still have HIPAA laws. You can't demand personal medical info from people. So this is another thing I have that I think is questionable. People have a right to their privacy. They have a right to not disclose their personal medical information. So if we all have to wear masks anyway, and I don't love the mask, believe me, I don't. But if I don't foresee they're going to take that away for a while, why are people demanding to know if other people got the vaccine? It's personal information for them and they don't have to tell you, okay? Nobody has to tell you that. And if somebody's choosing not to get it, they have their reason. Like, that's not what I did. I went ahead and did it. And in general, I've just decided at this point, like the more I read about it, it seems like there's more pros and cons to it. Not that I'm saying it's great. Like, it seems like, yeah, every time a new vaccine comes out, people worry. But it seems like in general, I'm going to try and be balanced about this, try and have a balanced approach to it. I don't regret getting it. I think it was a good thing I did. With it in general, but I'm not pro, oh my God, I think it's the best thing that ever happened. And I'm not going around like, here's the other part that I think is weird. Stop taking pictures of your vaccine card and posting on social media. No, 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 no. That's your personal information. And it contains what vaccine you had, your birthday, and it's an identity theft thing. Like, if you want to be a victim of identity theft, then yeah, do it. But it's not a good idea, people. It really isn't. But on your home. But yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on that. And I just don't I don't think anything should be mandatorily forced on people, when it comes to vaccines. In general, I've believed in getting most of my vaccines. I've been on the fence about this one because it's new and it's in a trial period. But the more I read about it, it seems like it looks like there's more pros and cons to it. But there are reasons that some people might hesitate. And then some people just don't believe in getting vaccinations. And this is another thing that bothers me though. A lot of people are like, they're anti-science. I'm pro-science. And I'm like, I don't know. When did the whole US population start wearing lab coats and working on experiments? I don't think any of these people that are saying they're pro-science are more pro-science than anybody else. It just starts to sound weird, and it's kind of odd because unless you're a scientist working in a lab, how are you pro-science? Are you in a lab working? Did you get your PhD in microbiology? If you got your PhD in microbiology, but those people aren't around saying I'm pro-science. They're doing their research. Everything's so politicized nowadays. So I guess the best thing you can do is even if you got the vaccine, you can tell people if you want, but stop bragging about it. It's not there's no brownie star for getting a vaccine or not getting a vaccine or getting an A or not getting an A, because at the end of the day, it's kind of silly. The vaccine is just to help, slow the spread of the virus. It's not to cajole others, or it starts to sound like proselytization or preaching. It's funny because people really don't like Jehovah's Witnesses coming to their door to preach their version of the gospel. But now, with the new politics of our era, people feel very comfortable asking personal, and we still have HIPAA laws in this country. Let's say somebody doesn't want to tell you what vaccines they got or anything about their health. They shouldn't be required to do that legally. think those laws are still in force. So I think forcing someone to disclose whether they got a vaccination or not, as far as I'm still aware, unless there's been some law that changed in our country, they don't have to tell you that. I mean, they're probably going to, because a lot of people that are anti-vaccination tend to be very open booky. But a lot of people just don't want to tell anybody anything, whether they got it or not. There are some people, by the way, that got the vaccine and they're never going to tell anybody. Because as far as they're concerned, it's their business and not yours. There's some people that don't want to get it and they're not going to tell anybody because they just don't feel that they have to. And I don't know. It's just so yeah, it's one thing if you are among friends and you're just talking about it, but maybe it's a little tad too far if you're going around just asking people if they got their vaccine yet. Why? And stop posting pictures of it on the internet. Unless you want your identity stolen or something. I mean, really, nobody needs to see that. I mean, did you used to post your postcard, post your report card? I don't know. There's just a lot of things. Like, did you post your driver's license online? I'm like, you want to, there's a lot of things people want to post online, but all of a sudden they think it's safe to post a vaccination card is supposed to be something that is for your own records or that you take to a medical office. It's not for public consumption. Okay. But if you made it for public consumption, you have created something that identity thieves can sell to people on the internet. Congratulations. You won. Nothing. I don't know. So those are all my thoughts about that. And yeah. So yeah, I was really on the fence about it. I kind of I mean, I'm not saying like this is the best thing that ever happened. I still have concerns about it, but in general, the more I read about it, it seems like the pros outweigh the cons. I just want to see long term. I'm going to be prudent about it. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh. And I do think, like, just my own thoughts, I'm not going to go puppy pile around people just because, like, I got my vaccine. I'm not going to, like, start socializing in big groups or even small groups just because I got vaccinated. I'm going to continue to be prudent because, like I said yesterday, I kind of came to the point that I can have maybe a couple of friends I go do things with, but I don't want to go to parties, and I never did any of that anyway. So, like, I don't know. I'm okay. I don't need to go to large venues. I really don't. I don't miss it either anymore. I mean, we haven't been able to do that for a year, and I was never the biggest on it anyway. So I just kind of thought I would rather go for a walk outside or do something fun outside. I'm not. Sometimes our feelings change about things, you know? If your feelings change halfway through the game about something and you're just kind of like, I don't want to be part of like social crowd anymore. Maybe, I mean, I know they always said, oh, well, it's good for your immunity to be exposed to germs and whatnot. But then when novel corona came around, they said, well, no, it might not be good anymore because our like population doesn't know how to respond to it. So, but now they're saying like all the things they used to say about people interacting with each other and kids being around kids so that they could get exposed to different germs. Now people are dialing it back and saying, well, see, like the cold isn't going around. So, like, I don't know. What do I think about it all? I don't think I miss social world anymore. Like, I'll be kind to people, and some guy told me, oh my God, you sound antisocial. Whatever. I'm just like, okay, like, as I said the day, you should go out and be cordial to people, but like do it in a prudent way. Even if you did get a vaccine, you don't need to be out like socializing in big crowds, my opinion. Like, I just wouldn't do it. But anyhow, and then at the end of the day, it's your freedom of choice. Like, if you want to do that, okay. I'm not going to stop you. Am I? No. People can do whatever they want as long as it's legal. Like, if you're not, don't do crazy stuff. I'm just saying, if you want to, I don't know, go to parties, whatever. I don't like parties anyway. Like, I tried like maybe a couple years ago doing a couple more social events than what I was ever comfortable with because I thought, well, first off, I do think it's good to be just polite to people in general and say hello, like to people you interact with on a daily basis and things like that. But I tried like a couple years ago being a little bit more social and going to a couple parties, but it just never felt, it didn't feel like me. Like I didn't feel 100% comfortable. And that's another thing too, like the social butterflies, I feel like, okay, are they really as comfortable as they claim to be? Because I began to notice a lot of things. Like they often were the first ones that would dial back any socialization when the pandemic started. And a lot of people said, oh, our friendships ended. Like they said, a lot of friendships I had are gone. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer now, but I want to kind of just do some truth seeking on this topic. Maybe those people really weren't your friends. Maybe they were acquaintances, you know? But I don't think they were like your ride or die friends. They weren't like somebody that's going to be there. Like if your mom is in the hospital, they're not going to race down there and hold your hand. They're not those people, okay? Some people are not your ride and die friends. They're just not, you know? That's the reality of life. So I think maybe it's better to have more. This is just my take. I think a lot of people that claim to be very socially like skilled, like they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, but do they ever have really true conversations? Because I'll notice something. Like I would always pay attention. Like the people that claim to be really socially adept, like some people are really good. They're very good at remembering what people say and paying attention. But a lot of times people are just so focused on what they're gonna say. And later I'll bring up something and they'll be like, did that happen? Oh my gosh, I don't remember that. And it's interesting. So yeah, as for the socializing thing, I don't like I say be cordial, be polite, but don't ever feel like, oh my God, your social skills aren't as good as someone else's, because their social skills aren't really that great either. They're not. A lot of things are perpetuated fallacy. And another thing too is life is short. There's only so many hours in life. I want to enjoy like every second of my life. And I came to the point. This is how I think about it. Oh, you want to see it? Here you go. Okay. So like this is my theory on this. Is this person like somebody that's gonna race to the hospital if your mom got hit by a car and hold your hand? That's my litmus test for friendship. Okay? Other things are acquaintances. That's kind of my take on it. Somebody that's there through everything, that's real friendship. The rest of it's just more like an acquaintance, like a social acquaintance. Like my classification for friendship's a little bit higher than some people's, okay? Like I have a higher classification for what I consider a friend. And it's not a social acquaintance. It's not just somebody that you chit chat with, like in a social setting. That's not really a friendship to me. Will you go to the ends of the earth for somebody? Like, what will you do for another person? Those are the kind of friendships I have. I don't have a ton of them, but like in order to like the really close ones I have, like are people that have done or are just there for me. Like, and not because they have to be, but the people I classify like as my truly like close friends. Like those are the kind of friendships I have, like people that actually, and I'm not saying that you're obligated to do those things, but they're people that actually care and they want to be there. Okay. They're not feeling obligated to be there for any reasons, like to be seen or I think I told this story once. It was about okay. I had a friend who was engaged to this guy and it didn't work out, but for various reasons. But one thing she always noticed about him was he was this big social butterfly. Like he had to travel the country, go to everybody's parties, like at any social event. But then he had a health crisis, okay? And they had broken up actually at that time. But out of all his friends that he flew across the country to like go do things with, buy presents, like none of those friends were there when he like needed somebody to pick him up from the hospital. Nobody was there except for her. And she was the one who came and got him. And and she kind of began to think, this is interesting. So he had all these friends, like supposedly like true, deep, like they weren't really deep friends. They were more like social acquaintances. And he'd always be wanting to like go off and impress them and talk to them. But then when it came down to it, she was the one that went to pick him up at the hospital. And it's just so interesting. Like, this is your litmus test for true friendship. Like, I mean, real friendship. This is how you define it. Who is going to be there for you if you're in the hospital, or if like something really sad happens to you? Like, everything else is not a friendship. Everything else is a social acquaintance. Like, I feel like, yeah, I feel like I have a strict definition of friendship. I'm doing good. How you doing? Like, I feel like the rest of it's not really friendship. Like, I feel like a lot of things that people consider or classify friendship are more like social acquaintances, because a real friend, they're gonna be there for you. Yes, even during the pandemic. Like, let's say you got hit by a car, a real friend would come and see if you were okay. They wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'll just call 911 because I might get COVID from you. Like, a real friend, like, I'm not saying like you should do this for everybody, but I'm talking about like a real friend. Somebody who's like truly your friend. Like, they're gonna want to see if you're okay. Other people, it's more like social acquaintance. But I guess I just have a different interpretation of what friendship is. So that's kind of my take on it. You know, it's an interesting thing, though, how people get so invested in all these different things that they call friendship. Looking, see. Yeah, my hair is very, very long. I'm sure you've seen on Instagram, anybody who sees my pictures. And I post pictures on my hair website, which I haven't had as much time to update lately. But I actually like the hair website better than Instagram. I think it's my true opinion. So, I don't know if I'm going 80s retro. It's just kind of my style, really. I have wavy hair, buddies. This is just Syrian Lebanese textured hair. My style is kind of a mixture of 50s, 40s, 50s, 70s, and 80s with some 90s. I just have a lot of like outfits that are kind of a mixture of different eras, I guess. But I don't know if you mean the texture of my hair. This is just the texture of my hair. I just have wavy hair. Like that's just my hair. It's not crimped or anything. But maybe you mean the outfit. But yeah, it probably does have an 80s look to it. Some people do. Um, Sometimes, like I've had people say, "Oh wow, your hair is really long." Like sometimes people comment. People are nice. Like in general, I found like okay, when people started realizing I wanted to grow my hair long, like I think now people they know that I want to have long hair, okay? And I get more good comments than bad, but like when I first started growing out my hair, like a few years ago, when I just people realized like I had had long hair when I was younger, up until I was 20, but then I had cut it due to social pressure. I think I talked about that. And you can kind of see that evolution through my 10 there's a video that I made back in June called my 10-year hair journey. You can kind of see that evolution, okay? So around the time that my hair started getting to mid back length and people realized I wasn't going to be cutting my hair short anymore, that's when I started getting comments like, oh, long hair isn't necessary, or like people should like, and it wouldn't ever be men, like, I wouldn't have men. It would just be like a few women, like, and look, if you want to have short hair as a woman, I've never said like, oh my God, like you can't have like short hair. Like, how dare you? You need to grow your hair long. It would just be women that would say things like they thought women should get bobs or and it was like, why are they pushing their personal preferences on me? I just don't even care. Like it just was kind of like, okay. Like when I was younger, a few years back, yeah, it kind of bothered me, and I made a few videos about it, just talking about how I want to have long hair, and that's actually how I discovered on YouTube that people like this topic. And actually, one of those videos got deleted by the relative I live with because they were like, "Oh my God, I don't like that video," and it was on my other channel. I kind of wish I'd kept that one because it was a good video. It was just talking about I don't want to look like everybody else because they keep saying that that's so trendy. Like, look, if other people want to do that, whatever. But I don't know. I've always been kind of eclectic in my fashion sense. Like, I've always just wanted to look how I want to look. And that's why I've had people in the past tell me, like, oh, well, what is your sense of style? Like, every picture looks a little different. I'm like, it's all my style. I'm just not wearing a uniform. I'm not Mark Zuckerberg or my grandmother, who both had a uniform, or Steve Jobs. I used to joke, I'd be like, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I would always tell, like my mom, what is my grandmother, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs all have in common? They all have a uniform. Oh, and our childhood neighbor. Like a lot of people, they just like, and look, if that's what people want to wear, or they want to have the same hairstyle, whatever, you know? But I think everybody should have their own style, and if somebody wants to have a uniform, whatever. Look, another thing I've never wanted to have is a capsule wardrobe. And I almost wanted to make a video about it, but I feel like the minimalist might come after me because look, I think the minimalists think anybody who doesn't have a wardrobe is a hoarder or something. And I'm definitely not a hoarder. Like I throw out a lot of stuff. I don't donate everything because I found out a lot of people think like everything they donate goes to a good cause, but a lot of charities just can't use like books included, clothing, like some clothing they can, but there are things that people donate that will be thrown out if they don't have a need for it. So sometimes like I've just thrown things in the dumpster and I know that people go dumpster diving for it. So I always feel, well, it's in the dumpster and I have it like in a bag or something and it's kind of to the side. And if somebody really wants it when they go dumpster diving, they can find it that way. That's kind of been my take, like when I've thrown some clothes out and stuff, because I used to donate everything, but then I found out they can't always use everything you donate. And with books, they definitely can't, like if it's a textbook or just books that are slightly damaged, they might be able, like some organizations might be able to like sell them or give them away. But just think about it this way. There's going to be tons of people, if it's a paperback, that had those same books, and those same books are being donated like all the time, okay? So a lot of charitable organizations end up having to throw a lot away. So I know like they're always telling us to donate stuff, but just from some firsthand knowledge that I just have about like what can be used by a charitable organization, like I almost think, like this is just my opinion, rather than donate something, like if you want to see if somebody has a use for it, maybe it's just better to go on like one of those Facebook groups and be like, okay, I have this, and if you want it, like you can come pick it up. That's probably better, and then you might be more likely that somebody will use it. Because I know a lot of people think if they donate like to the Goodwill, like a lot of people would donate encyclopedias and National Geographic, and I maybe not all Goodwills do this, but a lot of things they just have to throw out. Like a lot of donations end up being thrown out. It's the truth. You don't keep all donations. This is the same with hair donations, by the way, too. Like everybody, that's another reason I just never said anything about like donating hair, because yes, they do use a lot of the hair that's donated. And if your hair was in good quality, there's more likely they're going to use it. But some organizations end up throwing out the hair, and then some of it sell it for extensions. I'm like, I don't know. So I don't really feel, yeah, I don't donate anything. I actually, what I do, if I want to do something to help somebody, this is my thing that I think is better. Well, what you can do, you can just like find somebody who might want something. Like to me, that's kind of what I was talking about. Because I'm just telling you what I know from the past with what happened. Because I used to donate things, but then I saw what happened and I found out that, like, yeah, a lot of things are used, but just because, like, a lot of people think if they donate, like, textbooks, there's going to be a need that they might be able to sell them, but sometimes they might just throw them out. And if you're lucky that you live in a city where they can recycle the books, then maybe that's the case. But a lot of donations are thrown out because you might feel like, oh, everything you're donating is going to a good cause, but just think about it this way. Everybody's donating that same thing, okay? And they're going to be overburdened with lots of the same items. Like, I don't know, an encyclopedia set. There's going to be all sorts of families that had encyclopedia sets from the 90s or something, and they're going to donate them because, I don't know, their kids are all grown up now. So, like, let's say 30 families over the course of the year donated that same encyclopedia set. They're going to be forced to throw some of it away. Or if they happen to be lucky enough that they have a recycling program in their city, they can do that. So maybe, like, I'm just telling you, just from things I know firsthand, it might be better just to like advertise it on a website where asking if somebody wants it. It's kind of like the free cycle idea. It's kind of the same idea. I'm just kind of giving some like things I've heard about, but if you want to, I mean, I'm not saying everything. Just personally, like when I wanted to help someone, what we used to do, like we would buy burritos for homeless people, or we would buy a homeless person lunch or something. Like I felt better doing something like that because I knew it was actually directly helping someone and I could see it. That's all. Yeah, I'm growing my hair to floor length, but I'm not getting down on charity or donating. Like you should do it if you believe in it and you think like everything you donate is going to be used. Then yes, definitely. But I just have seen and I've heard there's times when the charitable organizations overburdened like with multiples of the same item, and many of them are just not in good condition, so they end up having to throw a lot of it away. No, I don't like, okay. Well, instead of doing that, rather than shipping it, what you could do is there's like websites called Offer Up, okay? And then there's Facebook groups, and there's also Craigslist. Like there's local websites where you tell somebody that they have to come pick it up. And my sister actually was selling things where she would meet people like in like grocery store parking lots or different things. Like you advertise more locally, so you're not shipping the items. Like what you could do is you're just like offering, but then it is a time thing. But then you know it's going to go to somebody who actually wants it. Like you see what I'm saying, and you don't have to ship it, and it's a little bit easier. But there are websites that cater to selling or just giving stuff away more locally. I don't believe in donating hair at all, just because I did the research on it and I found out a lot of it was thrown out. And then, like, some people were doing exposés on it and said, well, it's not even thrown out. Like, the hair that wasn't like good quality enough to be made into a wig for the children was being sold as hair extensions. Like, so that's why I personally, and I don't want to do it anyway. Like, I just never felt the pressure to do it. I've had women tell me I should do that, but I just tell them I'm not interested in that because I don't feel a need. And if I want to do something for somebody, like I said, I can buy a homeless person lunch. Like, to me, like, I don't know. Like, that's just how I roll. I'm a little bit different. I'm more about just doing things like that you can do personally, like in your daily life. I don't feel like I need an organization to do it. So yeah, I don't know. But I have a slightly unorthodox look at this. Like, everybody has to do what's good for them. Yeah, so I had women tell me I should do that before, and I finally got to the point I'm like, oh, I don't ever plan on doing that. Like, if somebody said that to me again straight up today, I'd probably be like, why are you suggesting that to me? Or like, okay, you can't say in every setting, but I could be like, oh, are you gonna donate your car to charity? That's so nice of you, because I'm sure there's some family that would really need. Well, this is how I equate it. Look, if you really want to donate your hair, go for it. Like, I think, yeah, that's great. But when somebody starts asking me or telling me I should do it, like, I'm just thinking, with how would they feel if somebody came up to them and being like, you know what? You have a really nice house, but maybe it's a little big for you. Why don't you like let six families live in your big house and you could just restrict yourself to one room? Like, there's just so many things, like, people would be kind of livid if you said that to them, or like a car or any kind of luxury item, like it. But if you, or like a purse, like, let's say somebody had a designer purse and you would say, hey, I don't really think you need that purse. You could donate it to a more unfortunate person. People would be mad about that, right? But because it's hair, I feel like people think that for some reason there's just something about hair. They feel like they can say that. But yeah, I don't want anybody who donated their hair to feel like they shouldn't, because I feel like that's really a personal choice. I just never wanted to do it myself because I'm like, I like having long hair. And if I grew my hair long, it's because I want it long, and I don't feel guilty or feel like I'm not helping someone by, not doing that. And there's plenty of people who want to do it, and that's fine, they can do what they want. Yeah, but when I think about charity, I'm thinking more like in general, like, just my take on the whole charitable thing. I feel like if you want to help somebody, you can do a lot of things to help your neighbors. You don't have to go to a big organization to do stuff? Well, see, then what they could do, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that do want those things. What those people could do is they could go on, there's a website called Offer Up, there's Buy Sell Trade, there's Facebook groups, there's all sorts of stuff that's local where you don't have to ship it. And there's going to be people locally, or somebody who might be willing to drive, come pick up the item as opposed to you shipping it. So you could always offer your things that way too, and it might, be easier and more mutually acceptable, because maybe the person would be very excited to come get it. I have been thinking about selling a couple different things. Like, I don't know. I have a soda stream, and I'm like, it was a dud. I hate the soda stream. Like, they said, oh, you'll save so much money, and you'll have all this fizzy water, and it's such a good deal. And It ended up not being a good deal at all because like the carbonator, for it lasted like for 3 like days, and we like really heavily carbonated water, so those little carbonators are $15, right? So I ended up spending like $90 on, it was a deal around Black Friday, on the Soda Stream, and it came with the 3 canisters, and it was a trial gift set. But I regret it because I'm like, I didn't feel like I got my money's worth, and I would rather spend like, I don't know, a few dollars to buy a box of carbonated water because it's cheaper. And the carbonated, like, it just didn't carbonate the way I liked. I did not like the Soda Stream. I just, for my own purposes, maybe it's good for you if you only occasionally drink soda or sparkly water, but I like to drink it a lot, and I felt like it was a waste of my money. So I would love to get rid of that thing. I would almost give it away because sometimes I'm at the point, like, if I don't use something, I don't even want to charge somebody to make money because I know they're always like, you can make a profit off this thing. I'm like, I just don't care sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'd rather give it to somebody who wants it more than me. And that's my charitable contribution to the world. How about that on a stick? I would happily give that thing away. Like, if I find somebody who wants it and they want to come and get it, I'd be like, you know what you want? It's yours. You can have it. Because sometimes I'm just like, I don't even want to bother to try and charge somebody for that thing. I feel like since I used it, I feel weird selling somebody something that I used. I don't know. That's kind of my take on it too. Like, I'm like, it's used. It's not brand new. It's not in the box anymore. I feel kind of weird about. I just want to give it out. So I think that's what I'm probably gonna do. Like in my case, like maybe I'll put it on OfferUp, but I don't really want to charge anybody. I'm not wearing them right now because I was doing my hair. See, I don't. I'll tell you why I don't wear my glasses when I'm doing my hair because they get in the hinges of the glasses. So it's kind of hard to comb out my hair. And I'm not completely blind as a bat. Like, I do need to, like, I'm nearsighted, but I can, like, if I'm up to here, I can read the comments from here. I'm nearsighted, so I can actually read, like, when I'm here. I can pretty much read the comments. It's just like when I go back here, I can't. So I'm nearsighted, like severely nearsighted, but I can read up close. Like, I'm not, you know, nearsighted. What's the other one? Farsighted. Farsighted is the other one, where I think in the UK they call it long-sighted, short-sighted, nearsighted, farsighted in the US. So anyway, yeah, some people, they need readers where they can't read anything in front of them, but I can read up to here. So I can get away with not wearing them, like when I'm just doing things up close. You know, I had a couple people just touch it once. Actually, the other day, my friend, like, he was like, oh, he's like, I didn't know you could do that with your hair. Like, and I'm like, yes, I can do that with my hair. And he's like, oh, and he was like poking my bun. Like, I don't know. He kind of did the other day. So, yeah, occasionally. I did the other day. I had my, like I said, but what else? What else? What else? Let's see. What time is it? Anyhow, everybody, I probably will leave in a bit. Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss about hair? Because a lot of things I'm just talking about are just on my mind. They're not really exactly hair related. Yes, I've wanted to do an edited video, but to be honest with you, I don't always have time or energy to do that. And I kind of like doing the live stream because then you can see me do my hair. So, like, if I do an edited video, I'm trying to think what it could be. And it's always a time constraint for me. And I just feel like I would never be able to do videos like I want if I only did edited videos. And like I told you guys, I don't really agree with the thought that every video has to be super edited anyway. So, you know, I have a different idea, I guess, about that than other people. What else? Let's see. Is there anything else anybody wants to say before I sign off? Because I have a little bit of time before I have to go today. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about hair related to hair? That top I wore yesterday, it is a shirt that I created on Zazzle with my shop. It's a picture of a Joshua tree. So if you want to support my channel or you want to see some of the things I've created, I do have a Zazzle shop. It's in my profile. You can always look at that. Like, I'm not telling anybody they have to buy anything, but I'm just saying if you're interested in things I've created and you want to message retracted. Okay. Why was your message retracted? You just said I had pretty hair. That's fine. I don't know. That's interesting. See, every once in a while, I have people they'll write messages, and it seems like they're writing nice things, but then their messages go away, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, why, why, like, all the messages are gone. It's like, okay, well, anyways, have a nice day, everybody. I don't know. Thanks for watching.